What is going on, my broskiis? My name is Toadski, back again, here to bring you guys yet another One Piece Treasure Cruise video, and of course the brand new KIZUNA Clash is now here. So in this video we have 3 different teams against each 10-star difficulty variation, I'm going to give massive props to the original creators of this teams, or the teams you see in this video. All of the links to these individuals will be down below in the description. These are actually Japanese players. Scrolling through Twitter the other day, and I found these Japanese creators on Twitter that were creating some pretty crazy looking teams, so I thought, you know what, let's go ahead and give them a go for this KIZUNA Clash, and I'm sure that you guys might be able to build some of these teams. And you know, even though some of the teams in this video will have overlaps in terms of the characters that are used, I think that this is a really cool way to show off, you know, just not only the very key important characters for this specific content, but also different ways you can kind of get around it. So in terms of this one here on stage 2, blindness is getting around via some crewmate abilities. We do get rid of the burn from the Rob Lucci special ability, and then of course we're generating some slots with the switch effect of Usopp and Lilith. And then on this final stage, lots of really nasty effects going on here. There's special reverse, which obviously Robin and Koala can deal with. We deal with the special bind via the Doflamingo Pirates or Don Quixote Pirates with their super type to generate the ability to get rid of their own special bind. Then we can use their special ability to remove everyone else's special bind. We can remove the increased defense with Hyogoro, and then we get lots of damage output from Robin, Koala, Usopp, and Lilith. And then we do have the Caesar Clown on the team, mainly just there to proc the super type of Doflamingo. So you do need some Doflamingo Pirates. Caesar Clown works, Kaido can work, so there's a couple of different units you can use in order to help you proc that. Of course, using the Friend Captain Don Quixote Pirates is going to be the best way forward for this content. Moving on now to our secondary team. This one here is utilizing the Sugar and Doflamingo character as our main captain, and because that character does count as both Dofi and Sugar, Sugar is one of the characters that you can use in order to proc the super type of the Friend Captain Don Quixote Pirate, so it works out very well actually. Now, we are removing the blindness effect via crewmate abilities. The Vegapunk is relatively replaceable. It just needs to be someone that can help you get around the blindness debuff. And then, of course, we have the special ability of the Vivi and Rebecca, which are going to be very helpful on the final stage. But the switch effect, specifically here on stage 2, being able to get around those block slots is very nice. And we also have the Dory and Broggy support effect to remove that burn on stage 2. Now, one thing to note against this specific piece of content here is that the enemy will bind any Psy or Int character on your team for 7 turns on the final stage. So it's very important, if you do aim to use Dofi and Sugar as your character, to switch them out of that into Doflamingo before reaching the final stage. Otherwise, you're going to be dealt a world of pain, so make sure to deal with that. I kind of overlooked the bind aspect, and I actually failed a run because I realized that the Koala and Robin character I had set as Robin initially, which of course you get inflicted with the bind, and because of that, you can't use the special ability to deal with the special reverse. So very important that, you know, the teams you see in this video, making sure that you have the team set up in the same way. Otherwise, the team will just not work as intended. But Usopp and Lilith continuing to be one of these key characters, like a regular end-of-month legend that just somehow randomly sees, like, really niche play. They just got a really interesting special and, honestly, a relatively usable captain ability as well, which we're going to showcase in this video too. And then we get to the final variation of the versus DEX fight against the Luffy and Law KIZUNA Clash boss. So this time around, we're going to use Usopp and Lilith as our main captain. And remember with how they work is that their captain ability will give you a buff for 5 turns, depending on if you have Usopp or Lilith. I believe Usopp gives you an attack boost instead for 5 turns. But if you have Lilith, you get the chain boundary effect, which is very nice. Now, we actually get a chance to use Kaido and Alba, which is an anniversary exclusive character that actually came out almost an exact year ago. He came out around the same time period here. A character that unfortunately hasn't really seen a ton of play, but we get to actually use the captain ability in a really interesting manner here, because when we switch into Alba, we can basically use his captain effect to get around a lot of different gimmicks like special bind and special reverse, and because we have captain switch active, it does enable us to get around other gimmicks, which is kind of cool. But by doing this, it means that we can get the chain boundary, and then when we switch into like Kaido and Alba, we still get the benefits because of all of that. Of course, we're removing the blindness effect via crewmate abilities once again. And then when we get to the final stage, of course, we can basically activate the rest of our specials and we're good to go. Now, unfortunately, in this team scenario, the versus Shanks doesn't get his special. I may have overlooked that specifically. Maybe I think it's because of Alba only giving cooldown to Driven and Powerhouse, I believe. So that is something that you could potentially change if there is a specific support you can run on Shanks to make sure that his special is actually going to activate. That would actually work out quite well. But either way, this team was a really fun one, being able to utilize Kaido and Alba, which is a character that you do not get a chance to use all that often at all. Moving on to the next boss variation this time. So we're finished with the DEX variant. Now we're going to have a look at the PSY type boss. So for this one, we are going to be utilizing the Queen Captain, which is again like not a unit that you use a ton as a captain, but we definitely go ahead and use it to our advantage this time around. Mainly just because he just boost like a lot of really good units. One thing to note about this particular boss that I overlooked a little bit when I was like trying to understand exactly what was going on is the fact that the boss will revive. Now, the boss will always revive with a fixed 3 million HP, meaning that if you can beat it at level 2, you can beat it at level 102 on the revive. Well, of course, there are additional gimmicks you have to deal with when you reach the final stage, but, you know, just meaning that if you can kill the boss in terms of having the right amount of damage at level 2, you're going to be able to beat it forever, which is good. The enemy does also change your slots around when you do kill them, and they also do captain switching. But it's always the middle right position, so that's something to note. Now, for this particular team, I believe we should be saving the Moria and Perona switch and special for the revive, just to guarantee the knockout. It does make things a little bit more dicey when you are not accounting for that revive. But again, as I said, if you are capable of beating the boss on the initial 3 million, that you can just do it. Then you can just always do it, right? So do keep that in mind. But anyways, I'm gonna leave you guys with the rest of this clip, and we'll pick things up and discuss the next team. Our second team variation here is a really fun one actually. So once again, being able to utilize a lot of cool characters here. So we have Dofi and Sugar, and I mean we have a lot of units on this team that are actually proccing the super type ability of Dofi and all the Don Quixote pirates. We have Sugar on the team, we have Kaido, and we have Caesar Clown, all the characters that can proc that ability. But being able to use versus Kaido, this specific versus Kaido again, is a lot of fun. For those of you who are unaware about what this Kaido is all about, this Kaido has an effect which gives you a 3.5 times attack and all boost. I think it's for Driven and Powerhouse, or Striker and Driven, whatever it is. And then he gives you matching slots, and he gives everyone 20 turns of cooldown, which, that's an absurd special. But then there's a caveat where after you use Kaido's special, you can only activate 2 specials for the rest of the run. So obviously major drawback, but you can use it to your advantage in lots of really cool ways. Because you know you are going to get certain specials back, it allows you to use other specials that you would normally save for like the final burst stage. You can use it earlier on, and then you can activate Kaido's special, you get all of his benefits, and then you can use your special again. One thing I did forget to mention about Kaido is that when you activate his special, he removes all of your beneficial effects before applying all of his buffs. So, you know, it's not like you can have some crazy buff and then use Kaido's ability to get like another special back. You know, obviously they make it balanced in a way, but it's really cool because in a KIZUNA Clash sense, being able to just get around all the gimmicks, activate Kaido's special, and then activate 2 other specials to give you like mass amounts of damage, it actually works out really, really well. I'm not too sure if this is going to be my farming team throughout the rest of this KIZUNA Clash, but this was definitely the most fun that I had utilizing a team in this 10-star KIZUNA Clash thus far. And then we have our final team of the video, which is going to be a versus Luffy team. Now, this team on paper just looks absurd. Like, it just doesn't look like it would make any sense. However, it actually works out quite well, due to the fact that Luffy has a really cool captain ability in terms of dealing with a bunch of utility. You have the Don Quixote pirates also dealing with despair, which is really nice. But of course, with Luffy's gimmicks, you do need to have 4 characters on your team that are free spirit in order for him to have the utility in his captain ability to remove, I think it's burn and bind, and then his special ability can help you remove attack down. So it's really cool the fact that you have like a really obscure looking team. It really on paper doesn't make any sense at all, but in practice, when you actually get a chance to use it, it's really, really strong. So we actually activate a ton of specials on this stage, including Yamato, which does remove the chain debuff, which allows us to activate the Zoro special to get his chain buff instead. And then because of the support of Uta, which gives us a 1.5 times attack and orb boost for cerebral characters and striker characters, by activating our Luffy special, he actually like extends all of these buffs for multiple turns. So essentially on the final boss stage, we're going to have a bunch of different buffs activated, and then when we kill the boss, they're going to revive, and we're still going to have plenty of damage for the revive as well. So I think this team probably is a little overkill in terms of, you know, dealing with all of the gimmicks and stuff, but I do really like this team as well. This team and the previous team that you saw in this one was actually really fun to go ahead and use. So we'll see what happens moving forward. I'm still unsure about which team I'm personally going to use for the farming at this point in time, but either way, you should have a lot of different teams to go ahead and trial out in this 10-star KIZUNA Clash, farm up those super boss coins, and get to playing. So hopefully you did enjoy this video today. If you did, make sure to go ahead and leave a like, and if you want to stay up to date with all the content I post, including more One Piece Treasure Cruise content, make sure to hit the subscribe button down below. But other than that, guys, I'll see you guys within the next video.